welcome to our crazed new world, where the name of the gormless game is hysteria, terror, panic, and more panic. No wonder everyone's in such a state. I mean, it's hot in Rome. It's sweltering in Sardinia. And who'd have thought it? It's pretty damn torrid in Turkey, not forgetting sizzling Spain, where they've come up with an excitingly innovative way of measuring the heat. Unfortunately, there were no startling records to be frightened about until they weirdly announced that the ground itself was an earth-shattering 60 degrees. So here's an idea: don't touch the ground. Next, they'll be warning us not to put our hands into boiling water because, you know, boiling water can be kind of scalding. But as the massed ranks of the climate change alarmists keep up their wall of scaremongering sound, my personal favourite horrifying weather news is that temperatures are soaring in, drumroll, Arizona. I don't know, but just maybe that's because Arizona is a desert, and it being a desert, it is always hot in Arizona. Meanwhile, back in Britain, it's shivering, soaking hell for holidaymakers all the way to mid-August. So, for the next month, it's set to be much wetter and colder than normal. But blimey, no one's going to be worried about that. So, over to Furnace Creek in California's Death Valley, where, oh my God, it's 50 degrees, like it is every day. And by the way, not as hot as it was on the all-time hottest day ever in 1913. For those who struggle with maths, like me, that's 110 years ago. So it's not getting worse up Furnace Creek. But the global derangement is definitely getting worse, a lot worse. Amid torrents of ludicrous, way over the top, frankly irresponsible reporting featuring footage of tourists on beaches in the sunshine, we are effectively ordered to sign up to the orthodoxy that the world is on fire and we're all going to die. Never mind the plethora of information indicating that it's not particularly hotter in the Mediterranean than it ever was. Forget that there is no scientific evidence whatsoever that mankind is causing climate change. Chances are we're contributing, but no one knows for sure. Therefore, those monolithic obsessives from Just Stop Oil take to the streets to assure us that it is our fault. And unless we cancel cars and ditch high-tech modernity, we're all doomed. Even if we did, it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference. The UK produces less than 1% of the world's carbon emissions, while our idiot virtue-signalling government goes so green it hurts. Over in China, they spew out 28% of planet Earth's pollution, and they're not doing a damn thing about it. Why Just Stop Oil's catastrophisers don't park their evangelical tanks outside the Chinese embassy remains a mystery. These deluded little zealots seem to believe that if they scatter jigsaw puzzle pieces onto Court 18 at Wimbledon, everyone will sit up and take notice. Really? Good luck with that. And good luck living in a world where stupid governments base their energy policies on unproven theories and charge us fortunes to allegedly save the environment. So, when they tell you it's hot in Rome in the summer, remember, it's always hot in Rome in the summer. And wrap up warm, because here in Arctic Britain, it's unusually cold, not to mention pouring with rain. Look around you, touch the ground, open your umbrellas and your eyes, and ask yourself, is the world really on fire? This is what happens as the pervasive insanity of our mass derangement spirals out of control. They demand that you believe what you viscerally believe not to be true. So just don't do it. Make a stand, make up your own mind, and don't let them tell you what to think. Oh, and if the weather is warm, take a tip. Go to the beach. Enjoy. You know, that's the point. Have you seen, Amanda, I don't know if you watched the telly, but last week I was literally laughing out loud, lolling, as they say. Watching
You're so cool.
Sophie,
so with it.
Sophie Rayworth, right? She's going, there's a terrible heat wave and there's the heat storm. And behind her is a picture of Antibes Beach, a beach I know well in the south of France. just sort of throwing beach balls at each other, swimming, eating ice creams. I mean, what is this all about?
That sounds like heaven to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to give you a little standing ovation and a clap, but my dress is a bit tight to get up and do the standing ovation
do it
bit,
then.
but I'll just...
Give it a go. Let's see where it takes us. No, seriously. Actually, don't be serious.
But I really agree with everything you said. I mean, I think it's the hypocrisy for me that I just can't stand about all the Just Stop Oil people. There was that one, you know, the woman who threw the confetti over George Osborne, the former Chancellor, on his wedding day, who I know ended up not being to do with Just Stop Oil, but
she's
was
dead. She said she was, or they said she wasn't. But
and
I think there's a cloud of suspicion over that claim.
Exactly, and then we were looking into it, and we'd seen that she'd been off on a 3-week holiday to Thailand, and you know, and she'd been enjoying us, and that's all right for her to do, you know, and but it's not okay for the rest of us to do anything like go on a holiday and have a nice time.
It's burning in Europe, but it's freezing and wet in England. Is this part of the Brexit deal? Is this what's going on?
I blame Brexit. I definitely blame Brexit. I mean,
that is actually a negative.
Look, my line on this, JJ, is I accept, well, certainly I accept climate is changing. Climate always did change, always will. That's the function of our evolving planet. That's obvious. So just because you doubt this hysteria doesn't mean to say you're a climate change denier. But as I say, there isn't really any evidence that that can prove that humanity is responsible. I'm prepared to accept that we're contributing, but the level of our contribution, I think, is far smaller than the Just Stop Oil dorks would have us believe.
To be fair, you do your bit for the climate. You don't eat meat.
That's true.
We know that cows are a big problem, eating all the trees, pumping out the methane.
Yeah, what are you doing in that respect?
Nothing. I'm driving my diesel cars. I'm eating more cows to compensate for you.
Steak is the best.
Steak is the best.
Steak is the best. How do you live without that?
But the world is, in some parts, getting too hot.
It's getting hot, yeah.
Too hot in some parts. And what we are going to see as a knock-on effect is people leaving those areas where they can't live sustainably anymore. And they're going to move across somewhere where they can do, like here, in cold Blighty.
I just put the Just Stop Oil, the way that they go about protesting for issues.
Doesn't help,
it doesn't help, and it's, you know, I'm really worried that we're going to see someone get killed in all of this, whether it's going to be one of them or it's going to be a member of the public that just sort of loses their temper, and you know, because you can see it already. There was a clip from Germany I saw where the protesters in the road, there was a lorry going over them and they were nearly crushed underneath, but it was the frustration. They're ordinary people trying to go to work, trying to get on, make a good living. How is it? What can they do? That one person. This is about targeting something much bigger.
Kevin's right. Just Stop Oil should go to the Chinese embassy.
I was going to say, why not China?
Get a plane to China and see what happens to you. And then people say about touch the ground, it's going to be 60 degrees. Well, yeah, there's magma and molten lava under the ground.
But think about that though. It's like, oh, hang on, this temperature's that's not scary enough.
Yeah.
If you touch the ground, it's at 60. You know what I mean? It's like they're desperately searching for statistics to terrify people with, and you know that isn't good enough. And do you know how many coal-fueled power they go? China's really starting to raise its game, you know. It's getting really into solar panels and wind turbines. Do you know how many coal-fueled power stations they've got? We got, by the way, 3. We're about to close one of them. They've got 1,100.
Wow.
And they're building 300 more. And they're exploring for more coal. They're looking for more coal.
Wow.
Do you know why they do that? Because they give their citizens cheap energy.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Maybe they'll go and find some in Taiwan.
Yeah.
They're funded that place.
Yeah. So we'll think about our energy bills, how much we're all paying. If we got some coal mines back into place, our energy bills would plummet.
We move to Beijing. Perfect.
There you go. Jing, I'm on my way. Right, let's have a bad ad.
Good friends, a roaring fire. The perfect time for hot Dr. Pepper. Delicious and so easy to prepare. Just heat Dr. Pepper in a saucepan till it steams, then pour over a thin slice of lemon. That's a hot idea. Yes, Dr. Pepper is delicious cold or hot. Try hot Dr. Pepper. It's a great winter treat. Right, Max? Hot idea.
That's Dick Clark, one of the famous DJs from the 60s in America. Hot, I mean, in my view, Dr. Pepper's disgusting enough already.
Yeah.
But hot? Hot?
Hot tar. Ugh.
Yeah. Would you fancy that? You're going to have a hot Dr. Pepper party, Amanda? Get all your friends around. Hey, I boiled up some Dr. Pepper. Come on over. Always boiling the Dr. Pepper. Where'd they get that idea
Pour
from?
over a slice of lemon. It's like a really bad mulled wine.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
It's just, it's just a little cocktail, but really intricate. Well, what you do is you put a piece of lemon in, and then you put boiling hot Dr. Pepper.
Everything comes back around, though. It'll probably end up being really popular at one point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Indeed. It is time now for my fan mail, anti-social media. Take it away. Kevin's mean tweets. I hate it when they change the schedule. If TalkTV, this is because I've got a new show. I hate it when they change the schedule. If TalkTV thinks Kevin O'Sullivan is the answer, they don't know their audience. Kevin O'Sullivan should stop gossiping hysterically. Listen to this. Kevin O'Sullivan should stop gossiping hysterically about the weather. And then it was sunny and then it was raining. Oh, you never guess. Oh, it was so windy. Don't tell her over the name. Oh, ridiculous. He sounds like a woman.
I take offence to that.
And then, then this person says he'll be wearing their clothes next.
Oh.
So wet nappies, women's clothes, sartorially, the future's looking different for me. We're going to break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Great excitement in the tiny town of Portland down in Dorset, where, after a decade at least of preparation, the migrants' barge, we're assured, is almost ready. After finally, at long last, sailing out of the Cornish port of Falmouth, the Bibby Stockholm, snappy name, should soon be open for business. More than 500 young blokes suddenly unleashed on an unsuspecting community of 12,000 souls with one local copper and a single GP. What can possibly go wrong? Oh, and by the way, this hideous floating palace with a bar and pool table will cost British taxpayers £20,000 a day. Cheaper than a hotel, arguably, but hardly the cash-saving scheme of the century. And there's talk of as many as 9 more of these barges mooring up all around the country. Meanwhile, Britain's first asylum seeker camp is up and running at the Wethersfield Air Base in Essex, where the 1,700 men newly housed there have been warned not to hang around children's playgrounds or carry weapons. Isn't that special? I just hope the lucky migrants enjoy the dining room serving up 3 free meals a day, the multi-faith centre, and all the numerous recreational facilities, including an indoor basketball court and a fully equipped gym. Naturally, an impassioned campaign by alarmed rural residents was ignored and their fears trampled on. Meanwhile, up at RAF Scampton in Lincolnshire, they're also protesting over the grim prospect of 2,000 new arrivals and, astonishingly, they've actually been listened to. Much to the annoyance of the dictatorial government, the fed-up folk around Scampton have been granted a judicial review into why this vast accommodation complex was imposed upon them without a shred of consultation. FYI, the Tory administration is able to operate in this tyrannical fashion because it's using emergency powers it gave itself during COVID. Great. But if you thought that huge asylum seeker camps and behemoth barges were the ugly new face of the migrant crisis, think again. Because rest assured, Rishi Suella and the gang are still busy commandeering hotels to put up our foreign friends. 500 or so and counting. And once again, the deep-seated concerns of the locals are being ridden roughshod over. This madness is ravaging communities all over the nation. A question to ponder. Why do migrants who arrive in France get no roof over their heads, no free food, and no welfare money? Answer: because the French know how to send them a firm deterrent message. No wonder they all head for the softest touch on the planet, sucker Britain, where we offer no deterrence whatsoever, but one hell of a lot of incentives. We can all see that this unsustainable situation is spiralling out of control. We can all see that Rishi's bold pledge to stop the boats has sunk without trace. And yet, a few days ago, Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick announced, and I quote, "Failure to stop the boats is not an option." But Robert, mate, you have failed to stop the boats. You are failing to stop the boats. That's not so much an option, that's a fact. With small boats and dinghies ferrying thousands of foreigners over the channel like an armada, the look of this crisis has always been bad. But now, with the advent of these sprawling camps, barges and blocked-booked hotels, the optics are doomed to get a whole lot worse. We're moving into a new chapter of the depressing book without a happy ending, and all our dear leader Sunak and his cabinet cronies seem to be saying is, crisis, what crisis? Come the next election, trust me, they'll find out. This is, after all, supposed to be a vaguely free country, and unless our all-talk, no-action Prime Minister works out that stopping the boats is infinitely preferable to opening more and more massive asylum camps, he's in even more trouble than everyone thought. Thing is, this is out of control, isn't it now, JJ?
It is, but you said there's no deterrent in the UK. Of course there is. The Rwanda plan. People are here about Rwanda and saying, no, we can't go to Britain now. The government have got this great idea about Rwanda that's going to stop all the problems. If the Tories want to...
That's not a deterrent. Of course it's not a deterrent. It doesn't exist. It's not there.
If the Tories want to stop this issue, why not process the asylum seekers? I don't understand why they're not processing them. The people were told who've been waiting for 2 years to be processed. I don't understand what they're doing. And when Labour get in, which Labour are going to do, they're going to get into power, let's be frank, all Labour are going to do is start processing people faster and then say, see, we got the job done.
Well, in theory, but I suspect this is such a bureaucratic mess now. It's kind of difficult for any government. But JJ's right, isn't he, Amanda, that I think we've got something like 100,000 migrants in this country, asylum seekers, waiting to be processed in this kind of weird limbo. Hitherto, they've been put in hotels. They're still being put in hotels. But now, this is going to be very strange, disturbing optics, these vast... they're calling them camps, asylum seeker camps. One has started this week in Wethersfield in Essex. Soon one will open in RAF Scampton in Lincolnshire. We've got a prison down near Bexhill called North Eye that's being renovated to put them all into. It's not going to be a good look for Rishi, is it?
Absolutely not. I mean, I didn't think it could get much worse, and yet every time that you read the headlines now, just seems to be more trouble ahead. And the more they say stop the boats, it's as if, no, let's just welcome everyone in. I mean, initially when I did hear that there was going to be 500 men 18 to 65 in one place, I was a bit like, oh, whereabouts is
Where's
this?
Wethersfield?
Love Island.
I was a bit excited, but when you do look into it, though, it is frightening, and especially because if the residents near there aren't being listened to, you know, this should be where we live. We should have some sort of control over it, and we're not having any of that.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying in 3 years' time, unless Rishi does anything to stop this escalating crisis, and let's face it, you know, he's not stopping the boats in the month of Sundays, that at the moment it costs us £7 million a day to put these migrants into hotels, and for that matter now barges and asylum camps. In 3 years' time, it's going to be costing 30 million a day, and that's £11 billion a year. Yeah. This is an absolute omni-shambles, isn't it?
It is. But it's happened under the Tory government. I can't blame anyone but them for this.
I blame the Tories.
Yeah, that's
Brexit,
it.
can we get that in?
Yeah, Brexit's got a part to play in
Brexit as well.
Brexit too.
Yeah, we blame Brexit.
It's been under 30 years of Tory rule. Who was the woman before?
But you just said yourself, Labour are going to end up bringing in more people because they'll do it faster and they'll bring more people because that's what they want is to have more.
If I was in charge, which I know a lot of
which
people...
thank the Lord you're not, sir.
If I was in charge, I'd put a processing centre in France and say to everyone, no matter where you're from, go to that processing centre. Anyone who comes on a small boat then is automatically kicked out. You won't have your story heard, you won't have your papers written, you'll be chucked out straight away because there's a processing centre for you in France.
Is your migrant centre in France? There's the beach. Here's what the migrants do.
Well,
but no, honestly,
if
mate,
they do that, then they're out.
I take your point. Something has to be done, but I have my doubts about the migrant centre in France because I just think they'll walk straight by and go to the beach. But at least you're coming up with ideas, which is more than Rishi Sunak did. My 5-point plan. None of these points will work. It is time now for our political section. Vote for me. This is Roseanne Barr. You may not recall that she ran for president, to be the president of the United States of America in 2012. Let's have a look at her party political broadcast.
I was like, what is she doing now?
She approaches socially relevant causes in a manner that most politicians would run away from.
We want marijuana legal! I want to reinstate the blessed and holy guillotine!
Granny's back on the pipe.
I'd vote for that. So what you got? What did you have? Marijuana and the guillotine.
And the guillotine.
I like the idea of the guillotine.
Who would you use it on? And don't say me.
This show only goes on for half an hour. If you want to know who I put in the guillotine, we'll be here until midnight, I tell you. Now it is time. Do you remember Grange Hill? It's time for the best of bad TV.
Say no, no. Just say no. Just say no, no. Just say no. Don't have to act like a great big star. You can be a hero, be who you are. Say no, no. Just say no. Just say no, no. Just say no.
An instant classic and still a classic after all these years. This was surrounding the plotline about Zammo. Remember Zammo?
Yeah.
He became a heroin addict. So Grange Hill had a big, serious social message. Just say no. Just say no. Who was it started Just Say No? Was that Ronald Reagan's wife, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah,
Nancy.
yeah. But
I think she used to say that to him at night.
just say that. No, Ronnie.
Yeah.
But Zammo,
Can't you just say yes?
I don't know how many kids in Grange Hill in that area are used to getting addicted to heroin. It's not that realistic. Like Roseanne says, better marijuana, much more likely, but heroin? He was addicted to heroin. That's ridiculous.
Well, it was a very important social message, as I say, so stop knocking it. And they're very talented, and not only did they sing that important song, they also do a bit of rapping. Take it away, Grange Hill kids.
So what was it made you do it? You had no need. First a taste, then a craving, then it turned to greed. Calling me your main man, you didn't really understand. After all you did to me, expected me to shake your hand. No.
Well, again, don't give it a day job. Don't call us. We'll call you, although we won't.
I think if I listen to that song again, I'll probably end up getting on smack myself.
Yeah, that's right.
Terrible.
That's what drives you to it.
That's enough to turn you, Judge. Just say yes. Anything to get away from Grange Hill rapping. That, I'm afraid, is the end of our fantastic show. So thank you very much to JJ Anasiobi, I suppose. And also to the brilliant assistant showbiz editor at The Sun, Amanda Devlin. Thank you for coming along. We'll be back next week with another edition of What Just Happened? What just happened?